welcome to the online interview of the Media Expert. Please introduce our guest today, Vincent Tiberghien, Regional Director of Business Development and Marketing Asia for HBA. Welcome to the Media Expert, Vincent.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, Mauro. This is really good. Thank you so much.
HBA specializes in resort, boutique property, world-class residence. The company employs more than 1,700 designers and has 22 offices around different cities in the world. In Vietnam, HBA has several notable projects such as Radisson Blu Cam Ranh, Furama Resort Da Nang, Intercontinental Hanoi, and Landmark 81 in Ho Chi Minh City. I hope I didn't miss any of them, but later, Vincent, maybe you'll pick up some more. So thank you for coming. As usual, I'd like to start asking how are you, how your team is doing, and your clients are doing. I know that you are locked in Singapore, same as a lot of our colleagues and clients. Please take us through this moment of your business.
Well, it's been challenging times, very different times that we've ever had, to be honest, probably like the rest of the industry and the rest of the world. So it's a global pandemic. Every economies, every industries is affected directly or indirectly, and the travel industry is one of the most affected, I think, generally. So, of course, being hotel designers, HBA is no exception. We've been hit pretty hard, but we're doing okay. I think it's generally we're still strong. I think, as you know, HBA is a global business. And we have offices all over the world. And we've seen the effect of the COVID-19 actually quite early on in the pandemic. So it started in China, and back in January, I can remember my leadership already raising strong concern about what was going on and preparing for a bigger effect than China. And we could feel already that some of our Chinese projects were slowing down. Of course, there was big lockdown in Wuhan at the time, and we have projects in Wuhan, and travel restrictions were put into place. And we felt that maybe this COVID-19 will grow regionally and eventually globally. So quite early on, actually, HBA has taken some drastic actions and adapted the way we work actually quite quickly, which helped us tremendously in the later stage of the pandemic. My leadership asked some of our staff here in Singapore to work from home before actually any lockdown or any request from the government, so we can try. So some of the teams were splitting, and we had to learn to work from home, and we had to develop new IT solutions so the teams could work together and share documents and share design, and of course IT communication tools that are very important. I mean, again, you know, in a project, what is very important is the team aspect of what we do, right? I mean, we have probably about 20 different teams in our studio here in Singapore, between interior designers and architects and landscape designers and graphic designers and restaurant consultants. So we've got all these teams that work really closely together. And I think this was the biggest impact on our business, like to break apart these teams. And they had to work individually at home, away from the team. I think that was actually the biggest challenge. And the risk was for all these team members to work in a vacuum, being disconnected from the leadership, disconnected from the vision, disconnected from the project, from the clients, from the needs of the project. And so very early on, we realized that. And again, like the leadership of HBA really took actions and developed the solutions. And once actually the pandemic started expanding in the region and over the world, actually we were ready. So when Singapore imposed the total lockdown, where we had to work home, then everybody had to leave the office, and then we already knew how to work. So it was quite a smooth transition for us. But again, I think it's I'm extremely proud by the way the team have been open for the changes and open for let's adapt, let's take action, let's do it differently, which I think it's not a given in many companies, and I think that shows the spirit of designers, their creativities of course, in terms of design, but also in, we'll do it differently. And That's something that is really rooted in the DNA of HBA. So I'm very proud that we have reacted so fast and so efficiently. So I think we're well equipped. I think we're still in the midst of it because we're still working from home. We're still working hard. We can feel projects are slowing down. We can see projects are put on hold, especially in countries where the lockdown is still imposed. So we can see, for example, in Vietnam, in your context, the lockdown has been lifted a few days ago. And already we can see the communication flowing again with our clients, which I think was really also difficult on their parts. So for our clients to make decisions from their home without their teams or access to their executives was very difficult. So we could feel this. So this lockdown is actually what affected our business immediately the most. Now I'm hopeful that once the lockdown will be lifted, then things will flow a little bit more smoothly and we can see projects continuing. But again, I think for us, it was extremely important during this lockdown and it was the prime objective of HBA. We need to have very strong communication, but communication with our clients, where our clients know that we are here, we're strong, we are efficient, we can deliver, we can answer to the needs, we can deliver still to the deadlines, and we can also look after the project. And not, there's the pandemic and issue going on, and suddenly we're running away. So we're here when good times and bad times we're running away. So I think being close to the clients and showing them that they can really rely on HBA was very, very key to us. And I think it went a very long way. But also communication within HBA. And I think, again, that's what I was referring before, the communication from our leadership and the clear directions they were giving to us on assessing the situation and what are the actions taken. Also communication with our design leaders and project leaders on how they manage their teams, how they, of course, reassure the team of mentorship and directions in terms of design, and making sure that everything that is designed is still controlled and whatever is coming out of HBA is to the best of the quality, what is expected from HBA.
Great.
And of course, the communication with the project teams. Yeah, and the project team and getting a grasp on what's going on in the projects, what is the progress and what is the requirements right away. So again, I think we are well positioned, we're strong. I think, as I was telling you right before this interview, the industry is actually very strong together, is really resilient. I think a lot of us are getting together and trying to fight the situation to come stronger out of this situation. But currently we're still in the midst of it, and it must be very challenging for a lot of us.
Yes, that's great. That's why we call it our series Path to Recovery. In a way, it will be a long road that everybody's taking into going back into shape. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about really the recovery and the way to go. It's great that you mentioned that everybody's getting together, but how long do you think it will actually be before we start to see people traveling like before, or clients developing project like before? What is your expectation in terms of business recovery?
But that's the $1 billion question at the moment, I think, and it's difficult to say. And I wish I had a crystal ball and being able to really put all my eggs in one basket and knowing this is going to be the success. But at the moment, we're still really middle of it, and people are not traveling. I think, what we do in terms of design, we're dependent on the travel industry. And of course, we're depending on the development of hotels in certain markets. I think hotel operation is the next, of course, stage for hotels, and they have been affected tremendously. They have zero income over the past 2 months for most of the destinations, and our owners, our clients, are suffering tremendously. I mean, no business has ever been built for zero income. So I think they will take time to recover their business first before they can think of, designing their next project or thinking of the next development to think of and the next destination and the next trend. Also, we don't really know how this situation will affect or how long it will affect the way people travel. And again, I think this is very important for seeing trends on demand, because again, the demand is to zero at the moment. So developments and investment in the industry is of course dependent on hotel performances and trends in certain locations and whether it's viable to develop a hotel here or there, depending on the demand, the inbound travelers, and etc., etc. At the moment, we don't know what this demand will be, even when all the travel restrictions are lifted. How is it going to be lifted? There will be restrictions, probably. Vaccine will be the new passport, where we need to travel healthy to be able to go to certain destinations. Probably different countries will have different restrictions put into place. All these are completely unknown. So I think 100% of countries in the world have travel restrictions today, 100%. About 70%, I think, have their borders closed. There's no international travelers coming in. 70% of countries worldwide, which is enormous. So before we can see the recovery, of course, this needs to be lifted. We need to see how people feel confident in this context to travel before we've got a vaccine, after we've have a vaccine, and then we can see how it goes. But again, this is probably the glass half full kind of aspect, the half empty, I'm sorry. The glass half full, we can see some recovery already, and we can see some signs of recovery, for example, in China. China has been, of course, the first hit, but also the first out of the situation. And we can see that they're working really hard on capturing the loss back and making sure that they develop faster than before. We can see South Korea doing good as well and being out of basically the risk zone, so also trying to get back onto their feet. Vietnam is in very, very good shape, and we can see how Vietnam has managed the situation brilliantly with from the top government officials giving very clear directions to the people themselves, and the way they've been responsible about being careful with the virus and following actually the instruction from the government. All these have, of course, bear fruits, and they are out of the situation before many other countries in the region, and these will benefit. So I think in Vietnam, to look more specifically about your market, I think you're in a very good position, to be honest, because of two things. First, you're out of the situation almost, and I think it's still going to be there, but you have managed the situation really well. Local travels have fueled your travel industry quite well in the past, and I think today, as the lockdown is lifted, people will travel. They will want to go and have a vacation somewhere, and I think the local travel is going to be key, actually, in putting back the industry on its feet, especially in Vietnam. And I think the local traveling has been, of course, a huge portion of the travel industry in Vietnam. And you've got like very strong group like Vingroup that have benefited from it since its inception. And of course, there will be a huge focus from the operators to adapt to, at the moment, only answer on local travels rather than international travels. Inbound travels will come later on. I think what we need to keep an eye on is the way Chinese are going to travel, which is a huge, of course, market for international travel. So when the travel bans are lifted, I think that is going to be a huge market to look after. And I think Vietnam is also well positioned. So again, Chinese, Korean are big travelers internationally to Vietnam, and these are in very good shape. So that's a very good sign. Local travel in Vietnam is going to increase. That's a very good sign. So I think you will recover faster than most destinations here in Asia. I don't think it would be a V shape. I think it would be a U shape, and probably a long U shape before we can see really strong sign of recovery. But there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Thank you, Vincent. And keep the discussion into this light on this end of the tunnel. Do you think people will change their behavior of traveling after all this, and therefore the design of hotel or resort may change as a consequence? Or pretty much everything will be back to normal after the recovery.
I think, okay, it's difficult to say in the long term. In the short term, absolutely, it will change. And I mean, what is short term, long term? It all depends. But I think the industry will recover probably, we'll need a good 3 years before recovering to where it was before, a good 3-4 years. So until then, I think we need to adapt to the new needs of travelers. And I think this virus has changed the way we live fundamentally, I think globally, the way we interact with each other, the way we work, the way we use technology, the way we appreciate nature, the way we appreciate, of course, family and friends, and maybe we'll redefine also the values and what is luxury and what is traveling, and why do we need to go to this $1,000 hotel that is actually quite standard just to take a few pictures on Instagram? Is that actually something that will bring value to me? So yes, there will be changes in the way people will travel, the way they're going to, of course, select the destinations. I think, again, more local is going to be the first steps. Like, people will go to places they feel safe, that they know they can come back actually quite easily. The regional travel is going to come up first too. So going to Bali, going to Thailand, I think this short travel, 2-3 hours max, is going to actually work. The big international travel will take longer. The way we use hotel is going to be quite different too. Social distancing. I mean, when you think of the use of public areas, if we're imposed, if there's no vaccine, for example, that is found for COVID-19, right? And we have to live with the virus, we'll need to change the way we live, and therefore lobbies and restaurants and all the dinings and all these areas will be completely changed. And we need to think as designers on how to find solutions that still provide exceptional experience for our clients, that they feel they are experiencing a culture, they're experiencing a new destinations, that they're close to the community, but still, of course, being safe and having this social distancing. The way hotels can address health and cleanliness in hotels is going to be very important. I think independent hotels and Airbnbs are going to suffer out of this. Hotel operators are probably better equipped to address these new requests from clients to make sure that my room is completely clean. It's a deep clean. It's not just a fast clean from housekeeping. And I think all these are going to change the trends. For us, again, for interior designers, we see this is going to change the way hotels are going to be operated rather than really designed. But in the long run, I think you can see trends with better integration of technology, where it will be contactless interactions with the staff, where you can self-check-in, you can open your door with your mobile phone, you can change the TV remote from your mobile phones, and you can order room service from your mobile phone. So you don't need to touch anything from the hotel itself. So these are things that we need to, of course, adapt and we need to change. But I think the key thing is people will still want to travel, and they want to, I see people will maybe travel differently. They will want to go to more eco-conscious destinations, eco-conscious hotels, culturally conscious places where they're getting closer to the community, hotels that have less impact on the environment. This is probably like the new trends. I mean, we've been speaking about wellness and eco-friendly hotels for years. And these were trends, but I believe this COVID-19 have forced or accelerated these trends, and that will become the normal. So I see this is going to happen right away after the COVID situation. In the long run, maybe it will go back to normal. Maybe people will forget about COVID-19, and then it will completely the way it was before COVID-19, and this we still don't know.
Thank you, Vincent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very interesting, very interesting. I think you mentioned a couple of points, including the fact that we were living this kind of global trend, sustainability, technology. Interesting, this situation is actually seems pushing even more for what it was already an existing trend. Obviously, from Singapore, as I mentioned you in the initial part of our interview, you have probably a bit more worried situation that you are living in the last few weeks that have an impact into your vision. I was a very much similar vision on the future back then when Vietnam was locked down. Then I start to feel it. Then when people start to feel safe, because that's the priority, then everything starts to come back to normal fairly quick and fairly soon. It's interesting your comment into China to see how China is moving, and Vietnam, we are going into that direction. We're already been 4 weeks after the lockdown, hotels are opening, occupancy is coming back, all local demand, but somehow we start to see the sign. But yes, as you mentioned before, we all need this border to be reopened again, because I would love to go in my summer vacation in Italy back to see my family. Yeah, will happen or not. Thank you, Vincent. Thank you very much for being a part of our interview.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully we have you in one of our next webinar, still discussing on trends and the future.
With pleasure.
Thank you very much.